So number one, it wants me to, it's taking this f of x function, and I'm going to translate it for units up. So what I want to do, let me focus the camera. What I want to do is I'm going to rewrite my original equation. So the 2x plus 3 squared minus 4. Then I'm adding 3 units at the end because it's going up, and translations up and down get added to the end. So then I'm going to rewrite this. G of x equals 2, parentheses, x plus 3 squared. That part didn't change. Negative 4 plus 3 turns into negative 1. Okay. Same thing's going to happen with b, except this time I'm changing g of x, so the equation I just did. So I'm going to write 2x plus 3 squared minus 1, because it's the one I just did. I didn't want to write it so close together though. This one's moving left, so it's actually going to change inside. So I am going to space this over a bit. 2 units left. Opposite the sign. So instead of being negative 2, it's positive 2. And then I just rewrite it to solve. So I have g of x equals 2. X plus 5 squared minus 1. Number 2 is doing the same thing, it's just a different equation. So I'm going to start off by writing 4x minus 2 squared plus 3. This time it's being translated 5 units down, so I subtract 5. I'm going to rewrite it. I'm going to have g of x equals 4x minus 2 squared minus 2, because 3 minus 5 is negative 2. B is changing g of x, so the one I just did, and it's going to move it right. So I have 4x minus 2, I'm going to leave some space, minus 2, 3 units right, so I add 3, subtract 3 I meant, because right is opposite the sign. And then I combine like terms, so this one is going back, this one shouldn't have been g of x, should have been h of x. This one is also h of x. So I have the 4 on the outside, that didn't change. X minus 5 squared minus the 2. Okay. Number 3, these ones I'm doing 3 different changes to my graph. So I'm going to be moving 1 unit up, 3 units right, and then I'm going to reflect in the x-axis. So I'm going to do these in the order they happen. So, my first step is to go 2 units up. So I have x squared. To go 2 units up, I just add 2 at the end. Up and down goes outside and doesn't change anything with the x squared. Then, for number 2, I'm going 3 units right. So that's going to go on the inside with the x. So I'm going to create a set of parentheses for this. The plus 2 from step 1 is still there. 3 units right, opposite the sign, so negative 3. And then my final thing is a reflection in the x-axis. So what's going to happen there is this whole equation is going to be multiplied by negative 1. So this negative 1 gets distributed to the squared piece and to the 2. So then it's going to turn into negative x minus 3 squared minus 2. So I have to remember to change the sign at the end. This is g of x. Okay. 4 is the same way. I have 1, 2, 3 steps. Then my first step is going left, so this one is going to change inside. So I'm going to have x, left is opposite the sign, and do this in red. So I add 1, and then I close it and square it. Step 2 is I am going to go 6 units down, so I have a piece from step 1. and then I subtract 6 at the end. 3 is also a reflection on the axis, so just like the last one, I rewrite everything, and then I'm going to distribute a -1 to it. So, one thing I want to point out before I get too far, x-axis changes the outside. So I distribute. I get negative outside my squared because I can't distribute in because of the exponent. And then -6 turns positive. So my answer here is going to be g of x equals -x plus 1 squared plus the 6 at the end. Five is also 3 steps. I go up, shouldn't read the numbers. I go right, and then I reflect. So my first step is going up, so I have x squared, and then I'm going to just add 1 at the end. Then my next step is to go right, so that's going to change inside parentheses. Right is opposite, so negative. Then my third step is to reflect in the y-axis. This one changes inside, and it's the x only. Okay. So, changing on the inside, I make the x negative. So my final answer here is g of x equals -x minus 3 squared plus 1. Okay, same thing on number 6, 3 steps. My first step, I'm going down, so that's going to change at the end. I subtract 4. Then I'm going to go left, that changes inside the parentheses, so I leave a space for that, so I can show you in red. Left is opposite, so I add 2. Then my final step is a reflection in the y-axis, which is changing inside. So I put the negative right there, and then that's my final answer. I just have to write it with g of x. Negative plus 2 minus 4. Moving on. This one wants me, number 7, wants me to choose all the ones that have a vertical stretch. I'm looking for numbers with an absolute value greater than 1. So, I'm also looking only at the outside number. Okay. So if I take a look at A, this is a 2. Absolute value of 2 is 2. It's greater than 1, so this one has a vertical stretch. This one is just 1. It's not greater than 1. It is 1. Negative 4.5, the absolute value is 4.5, so it is. 0.2 is less than 1, 1/2 is less than 1. So those are my answers here. And then these are numbers with an absolute value less than 1 for vertical shrink. Don't know why my one's so curvy. So vertical shrink, I already know A and C were stretches, so they're not it. B was 1, 1 is not less than 1. 0.2, less than 1. 1/2, less than 1. Okay. These ones want me to graph my functions, find the axis of symmetry, state if it has a maximum or minimum, domain and range, and then say where the function's increasing and decreasing. So I'm going to move the directions off so I can have all this stuff on the board, on the screen. And I'm going to go graph my equation. So I go to y equals on my calculator. I'm going to type in number 9. So I have 2 parentheses x minus 1 squared minus 5. I go graph it. Okay, so if looking at this one, it has a minimum because it has a low point. Then I'm going to go find that minimum value. I'm going to go second trace. On your calculators, this would be blue and this would be yellow. Because I said it was a minimum, I'm going to pick choice 3. I'm going to go to the left bound, so I'm looking for the flashing dot to make sure it's on the left side of my vertex. This one is. I press enter. Then I move it to the right side, where it says right bound. I press enter twice here. And then the calculator, remember, isn't the best at rounding sometimes. So this is really 1, -5 for my vertex. Oh, and I wanted to graph this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. My axis of symmetry is always my x value for my vertex, so x equals 1. My domain for quadratic functions is always all real numbers. My range looks at my y value from my vertex, so I'm going to have to use the number -5, and range is my y values. So if I look over here, starting at -5, it goes up. To say up, I use greater than or equal to. Okay. Increasing, I'm looking for where there is a positive slope. So if I look at these 2 points, that slope is negative. So that's actually going to be my decreasing. Oh, well, let me go and draw my axis of symmetry on there. That's decreasing. So that's on my left side. I use x for left. And then less than, think of less than as left. And my x value was 1. So then on the opposite side, over here, from these 2 points, my slope was increasing. So x is greater than 1. And these are saying my x values like 2, 3, 4, they all have positive slopes. I'm going to go ahead and do the same thing again on number 10. I'm going to go graph this one. It is 3x squared plus 6 minus 2. This one also has a minimum. I'm going to go second trace. 3 for minimum. I'm going to move my flashing dot to the left side. Press enter. Move it to the right. Press enter twice. When it has this E, it really means 0. So I have 0 and 4 for my vertex. One, 2, 3, 4. Okay. Axis of symmetry is x equals 0, because it's the x value of the vertex. Domain, always all real numbers for quadratics. My range is going to be y, and I'm going to use the number 4 because it's from my vertex. It's going up, so it's greater than or equal to. It's increasing on the right side, so x greater than 1, and then it's decreasing on the left side, so x less than 1 then. I'm going to go ahead and graph number 11. 7 minus 8x minus x squared. Okay. This one is off my screen, but it's mountain shaped. So it's going to look something like that, which means it's going to have a maximum. I can still do my vertex without seeing it. So I go second, and then this one is a maximum. I want the flashing dot on the left side of the screen. So I'm just going to click until I see it again. There you go, I see it. I press enter. I'm going to move it to the right side until I see it. See it? I press enter twice. It's telling me it's at -423, so I am going to count by 4s on my graph. So hold on, let me write that down. 1, 2, oh, I'm counting by 4s. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So like right about here. Like that. My axis of symmetry is x equals -4, because it's the x value of the vertex. Domain is all real numbers. Range is y. This one is going to be less than or equal to, because it's going down, 23. If I look at this one, from here to here, it's actually got a positive slope. So it's increasing on the left side of -4 and decreasing on the right side. When it asks me to write the zeros for a function, I just take the parentheses and set equal to 0. Oh, and something else. Zeros means x intercepts, so where it's crossing the x-axis. So I'm going to do x plus 3 equals 0, and x minus 4 equals 0. I solve them both. I subtract 3 on the left side. I get x equals -3. And on the right side, I add 4. I get x equals 4. Remember, when I'm finding zeros, because they are x-intercepts, they should be x equals. Same thing for number 13. X minus 2 equals 0. X plus 1 equals 0. I add 2 on the first one. I get x equals 2. I subtract 1 on the second one, and I get x equals -1. Okay. These ones are graphing again, but this time it also wants me to include the x-intercepts. So pretty much what I was doing on the other page. Go to y equals -3, x plus 2, x plus 4. I'll go to graph it. This one has a maximum because it's mountain shaped. I'm going to go second calc, 4. I'm going to move my flashing dot to the left side. So it's there. I press enter, I move it to the right side. I press enter twice. And remember, on the left and right sides, it doesn't matter. It can be anywhere. My maximum here is -3, So my axis of symmetry is x equals -3. This time I'm looking for my x-intercepts where it's crossing the x-axis. I can go second calc. This time I want 0, because remember, zeros are x-intercepts. I move to the left side of the 0, which is right here, and then I move to the right side, press enter, enter again. And this one tells me it's at -4, so x equals -4. And then I have the second one. So if I press there, I didn't need to press there. I press here, and then I don't want to be on the other 0 when I press it. When I press there, it'll tell me this one, x equals -2. Notice these are opposite the signs of those numbers right there. Okay, my domain is all real numbers. I didn't graph this one on my paper. -3 to be. Okay. My range is y is less than or equal to +3, because it's going down from there. Increasing from left to right. I read the graph from left to right. It's increasing on the left side. So I say x less than -3, and then on the right side, x greater than -3. Okay. Same thing with number 15. I'm going to go ahead and graph this. Go to y equals. Remember, to do fractions, I just do divide. X minus 5. X plus 1. I hit graph. This one is going to be a minimum. So I go second calc, go down to 3 for minimum, press enter on the left side, move it until it's on the right side, press enter twice, This one is 2, negative 4.5. This one's fine. Let's just white out this line. It's a mistake. Okay, so my axis of symmetry is going to be x equals 2. My x-intercepts, I can go second calc, 0. I want to move this to the left side of my intercept, which this time is above the line. I press enter. Then I move it to the right side. I press enter twice. This first one is x equals negative 1. I'm going to do it again. Second calc, 0. Move it so it's closer on the left side. Press enter. Press enter twice on the right side. X equals 5. Okay, like I said, opposite the signs of the numbers in the parentheses. Domain is all real numbers. This time my range is going to be greater than or equal to, because it's going up, negative 4.5. It's increasing on the right side, because from left to right it goes up. So x greater than 2, and then decreasing on the left side, x less than 2. For increasing and decreasing, the signs might switch, but I always have at least one of each. Okay. Then I want to go ahead and graph number 16, y equals 0.4 x minus 6. Graph this one. This one has a minimum. I go second calc, 3. Left side, press enter. Move to the right. Press enter twice. And this time my minimum is at 3, negative 3.6. Okay. My axis of symmetry is going to be x equals 3. Notice how this one doesn't have anything with it. That means one of my intercepts is x equals 0, and the other one is x equals 6, because I take the opposite side from here. Domain is all real numbers. Range is y is greater than or equal to negative 3.6. It's increasing on the right side, so x is greater than 3, and it's decreasing on the left side, x is less than 3. Moving on, these wants me to compare which has the greatest maximum. Let's pretend like it doesn't say C right there. I'm going to start by graphing, or I don't have to graph A. I know my maximum is at 3, 3, so my y value is 3 there. This one, my y value is at 4 because it's the highest y value. The only one I need to graph is C, so I'm going to go ahead and graph that. I could graph all 3 if I really wanted to, but I'm not going to because I don't want to. Okay, then I'm going to do second calc, maximum. Move it to the left side, press enter, move it to the right side, press enter twice. My maximum here is at negative 1.8, so I'm looking for which one has the highest y value out of these 3 pairs. It is C. Same thing over here. This one, my maximum is going to be at 2.7. This one, my maximum is at negative 1.2. So I'm going to go graph at C. The reason I'm getting 2.7 is because this is in vertex form, so it's opposite the sign, and the same sign for the y value. So I'm going to go y equals negative 1/4 x plus 4 x minus 4. I'm going to go second calc, maximum. Press enter on the left, move it to the right. Press enter twice. Remember, whenever E shows up, it really means 0. So I have this one at 0, 4. Looking at my 3 numbers, 7 is the largest, so A is my largest maximum value. Okay, on the back, it wants me to graph the equation and see which letter it goes through. So I have -2, or my vertex here is not -2, +2, -2. Already, it goes through G. But I would continue to graph this. I'm going to do 20 in red so we don't get our two graphs confused. My vertex here is going to be at -3, 1. Okay, and then it's negative, so I go down 2 over 1. Try not to mark it. So this one, the letter is D.